now that we have images and I have not shown you the exam you're taking tomorrow, so let's go ahead and start. We're just going to create our index.html and style.css files, and we're going to open this up. Okay, cool.
You can create two files in one line.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead. Like always, we're just going to get everything going here, and make sure that it works. Okay, so we'll copy path. We come back over here, paste that in. Cool, internet. We are good to go. Let's actually also link in our styles.css, and so just as a quick test, we'll say background red height 100 pixels. Okay. All right, cool. That means everything's linked in, and I'm going to erase that. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this. So this looks fun. We have the internet guy up at the top, followed by the World Wide Web. Does look like it's sitting on top of it a little bit. If we finish everything else, we can work on how we might slide that under. But for now, it'll probably just be a clean break right after that image. So let's go ahead and take a look at the images that we have here. Let's see. Okay, so we have that. Client server, globe. Okay, so it looks like of our page, so that's going to be an image right there. Our little home DNS thing's going to be an image. Our phone will be an image. Then that's going to be an image. That's going to be an image, and the background and this little guy right there. Okay, cool. So,
So you got those from the Crocs image you downloaded?
yeah, not just from the download. Go ahead, Charlie.
Are you recording?
I am recording this. Yep. All right. So now that we have a little bit of an idea, let's go ahead. I'm going to. My thought here is I'm going to start by, like always, just creating some sort of wrapper div, and then I'm going to create a div to hold this line, and then a div to hold the World Wide Web, and let's go to that point. Okay. So we'll go ahead, create. Oh, I don't know why I always never finish that word. Okay, and let's make it an ID. Okay, so ID of wrapper. We'll give it a width of 1200 pixels. Okay, margin 0 auto just to get it in the center, and we'll give it a background of light gray, light goldenrod yellow. Wow. Talk about specific. Okay. All right. So let's see if that comes up with anything. That makes sense. I haven't put anything in there yet. Let's just do a quick min height of 100 pixels to see if this is showing up where I want it to. Very nice. Okay. So let's start with the internet. Okay. So I'm going to create a div here. And we'll call this the top div. Sorry, we got to do this the right way. Okay. So we have this top div, and we're going to start by coming into images and adding globe. Okay, so our source here is going to be images/globe.png. Okay, does everybody understand how I got that? Good? Okay, cool. So here's my index.html. Next to this file is this images folder. Okay, so that's why I first put the images, and then it's saying the slash is saying go inside of that folder and find this globe.png. Okay, does that make sense? Good.
Is
Go
it
ahead.
cleaner to have the images folder like that, or to have the actual images inside?
Like at the same level?
Yeah.
Cleaner to have an images folder. Yeah, definitely. Okay. All right, let's take a look at what this has. Nice. Okay, so that's probably just a touch bigger than we want it. So we will edit this. So I'm going to say ID globe, And before we, well, let's go add that first. Okay, so I'm going to say globe, and we'll just give it a height of 50 pixels. Just kind of test that out, see how that looks. Okay, so that's maybe a little bit smaller than I want. So we'll make that a little bigger. Just to check, right? So top is going the whole way, which we want because it's a block element. And then this is kind of small. Let's test out 100 pixels. Look good to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah? Cool. All right, so we will leave that at 100 pixels. Save. Refresh it. Cool. Nothing's changed. All right. Yay. Piece 1 is done. All right. So now we need to come in and add the internet, and it looks like for some reason they made that net blue, just to make our life so much harder. So yeah.
Would you use dot slash?
It would be the same thing here, right? So sometimes if it's not finding it, you can put a dot slash just to specify, hey, this is the absolute path, like it's in this folder. Inside this folder, there's another folder called
Yesterday I put
images.
dot slash and then it crashed.
And then it
Yeah,
crashed.
so I had to get rid of it and then it ran.
I mean, I don't know I don't know why exactly it crashed. We'd have to take a look at it. But most of the time, if one's not working, the other will, or they'll both work. Yeah. Another thing, a few people have gotten the error of it's when you validate it, it doesn't have an alt attribute. What the alt does is it will put in this text in the case that it can't find that. Okay, so let's go ahead and add the images right there. And so when we refresh it, right, it couldn't find the image, so it just dropped that text in there in place. Okay, so in order to validate your code, all images should have an alt. Now, here we just had the text globe.png. You could also put like a secondary image path too if you wanted to. Okay, it wouldn't load it, but you could use that later on. Next week when we get into jQuery, we'll kind of show you how you might use that alt path. Okay, but basically it's just going to be text of something that will display if your image doesn't load correctly. Okay, so let's go ahead and add the internet right here. Okay, when we refresh, all right, drops down to the bottom. Why is that? It's a block, right? It's one of those blocks. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're gonna say top H1. Nope. There we go. And we'll give it a display of inline block. There you go. So now it's next to each other. Now if we look, they're kind of sitting in weird spots. So let's play around with some stuff. Let's add a vertical align top here. Okay, and that's all right. Let's say middle. Not great. Let's get a look at some of our other options.
Center?
Oh man, I don't think center is one of them. Baseline. Well, actually, let's try doing this. Let's start by saying margin 0. Okay, so now when we hover over that, there we go. So it's kind of in a weird spot, but that's all right. We'll vertical align top again. Okay, so now let's give it a margin top of like 25 pixels or something. Okay, that looks pretty good. We might actually want to make the font size bigger. It looks like it's just a little bit small. Oh, not 550. And that looks pretty good.
So if you put a margin 0 and then after you put a margin top will override.
It'll override it, yeah. Yeah, so you can reset some of your defaults and then override them to be what you want. Okay, I think that looks all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy all the styling that I've created here and drop it in there. Add a D to that. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so that that looks good. Looks like net is blue. So what would be the best way to style that? Span. Beautiful. So we'll say no span. Just adding so many things in there for me. Okay. There we go. So let's just go ahead and add a class equals blue there. All right, and we'll be nice and specific here, and let's see if we can't pick. Whoops. Why is it not working? Color picker. There we go. Okay, that's not really working right now. I don't know what I did. That's all right. We'll just say blue. Okay. Dot blue. Color blue. I don't worry too much about that. All right. Cool. So that looks pretty good for that top section. Okay. So let's come down and let's do the World Wide Web section. So that was top. So we'll go here and say we'll call this one www. Okay. And inside of that we have the World Wide Web. Let's take a look. Okay, cool. Doesn't quite look like what we want it to, right? It's white text with a blue background. So let's go ahead and add in our blue background there. So on www, we'll say background color of blue. Nice. Let's take a look here. There we go. Div www. Okay. That looks good. I mean, it doesn't look good, but that will work for now. So let's go ahead and we're going to let's add a little bit of a padding top of maybe like 10 pixels and then nothing on the side. Actually, we'll go 10 pixels, 0, 10 pixels, 10 pixels. So that it's a padding on every side but the right side, because we don't really need a padding on that right side. Okay. Cool. So if we look there, that looks pretty good. Maybe we could drop it down to if we did 5 on the top and bottom. I like that a little bit more. And then we'll push this just to the right a little bit. 20. Okay, so we'll go 5, 0, 5, 20. 5, 0, 5, 20. And I really hate that blue, so we're going to see if we can't. Ah, dang. It's an image. Oh, there we go. Yay. All right. That is the new official blue color that we are going to use. Okay. Nice. Just a little bit softer. Not so ugly to look at. Okay. Now, the last thing we need to do on this one is set the text to white. There we go. Okay, cool. And I'm going to remove on this wrapper, I'm just going to remove that background color for now. Okay. Just so it has a little bit more of the look of our internet guy. Okay, cool. 2 sessions down. Any questions about what we've done so far? Pretty straightforward. That's definitely not the hardest part of what we're going to do here. Okay, so this next section, we basically have it split off. I'm going to close you out. We basically have it split off from kind of this left navigation section and then this right main content section. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create a div that wraps this whole area. Okay, and then have two divs that are basically side by side here. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's add that in. So we're going to say we're going to have a main div, and then we'll have a left div and a right div. Okay, so the left is going to be this section here. The right is going to be this section. Okay. Okay. So let's if we look here, let's go ahead and let's add in another div inside of left to hold all of this stuff there. Okay, just so we can kind of group all of that together. And we'll call this left top. All right, and we'll add in, maybe do like a H3. We'll go H4. And so what's an internet? And then an internet, yeah, we'll do that in a second. Internet connected network of computers all around the world. Okay. Internet, what does that say? Interconnected network. An interconnected network of computers all around the world. Perfect. And let's go ahead and toggle word wrap that. Okay. All right. So as of right now, it's kind of going pretty far over to the side, and that's expected because left is still a display block, right? So let's go ahead and say display inline block. And so we know this whole thing is 1200 pixels wide, right? So what I'm going to do is, let's say we do 300 and 900. So I'll say let's give this a width of, let's start with like 250 pixels, and then a margin of 50 pixels, or 25, excuse me. All right, let's just take a look at what that might look like. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It gives it a little bit of space off each side. And then, let's see, and so now we can see that left is 25, basically 300 pixels wide, right? So we might have to adjust this a little bit to make sure that everything fits, but for now, we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so that was left, right? Okay, cool. Refresh the page. Nothing moved, so that's good. All right, these all look a little bit bigger, so let's change this, and we'll just use left top. And then left top P, we'll give it a font size of 20 pixels. All right. Let's see. I think we want this to stay on one line, right? So there we go. We'll go 25, and that works fine as well. Oops. Make sure that we're still looking good on our left. All right, that looks good. Okay, so we'll say drop this one down from 30 to 25. Okay, now let's see. We do have a couple of blue things here, so inter and net need to have that blue span around them. So let's go ahead and we'll add span here. Got that, inter, there we go. Class equals blue. All right, I don't have to rewrite that class because I already did. And then span right there. Whoops. Span. Net. Okay. Class equals blue. Let's take a look. All right, they're blue. Can't really see it, but that's okay. And then we'll just do that last one around here. Dang it.
So it's okay to set this in here instead of in this time?
What was that?
It's okay to set the color here instead of doing that in the style of CSS?
We're doing it in CSS. I just named the class red and blue, but it actually, all the styling is happening here. Yeah. Okay. All right, that looks good. So now if we come back, we have a couple of buttons. watch a video and more resources. Okay, so let's go ahead and add those in. So it's all still in left top. So I'm going to say button. What was it? Watch a video and more resources. Okay. All right. So both of those are kind of sitting next to each other. We want them to sit on top of each other. So let's go ahead and we'll actually just continue to use our left top button. Okay, and so let's try going with width 100% and see if that will make them go all the way wide. All right, that looks pretty good. Like that, and let's say a margin top of just 5 pixels to push them apart. Nice, and now let's do a little bit of a padding and say 10 pixels 0 just to make that go a little bit wider. Okay. Yeah, and it looks like it has a little bit of a border radius, so let's go 5 pixels, and hopefully that'll kind of round out the edges a little bit. There we go. Now we just need to make one blue and one orange, so we'll give this a blue button and this one an orange button.
Do you usually put A tags inside buttons, or?
You can. The other, or the better, or the more like, would be the easier way to do that would be to create an A tag and just have your A tag styling look like a button. So we can manipulate, basically take an A tag, add a border and a padding, and then it'll just start looking like a button. So you can do that as well. Orange button and background. Wow. Apparently that one is more used than background color. Orange. Okay. All right. Maybe text just a slightly bit bigger. 15 pixels. Cool. All right. That looks pretty good. So let's keep going down this left side. Now, there's a bunch of different ways that we can throw this line in here. One, I mean, trying to think what would be the best way here. There is we could throw this tag in here. Let's see, the HR tag that is going to be deprecated soon, which means it won't be available much longer. But we're just gonna use it for now because why not? You can actually style these as well. So we'll say HR gets just like a margin of 5 pixels and 0, not O, but 0. Oh, I made it closer. Okay, 15. There we go. All right, so I'll kind of make that nice little line. You could also create a div that had a height of 0 of the border, and that would work as well. I actually don't know if this will W3 validator. Let's see if that will throw us an error.
HR
does it not? All right. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay. It's definitely allowed for tomorrow. Simply because I just use it because I didn't want to create another way. You're welcome. Yeah, it basically just gives you a line. I actually don't know what the initial purpose of it. We won't go into it now, but yeah, they just created a div with a line. Yep. Cool. All right, so we now have this little box down here. And so this is going to be, we'll call this one left bottom. All right, and now we're going to do some left bottom is going to be just a little bit different here. Let's give it, we're just going to start with a min height of like 10 pixels just so we can see it. And then we're going to add in a background image. Okay, so I'm going to use a background image. And I need to use this URL to basically give it, once again, give it the path to where it needs to find that image, which I believe is add background. There we go, add underscore background.png. Background.png. Okay, so let's take a look. Yeah, that was the most worthless 10 pixels of all time. Okay, let's come on. All right, cool. So that looks good. That looks kind of like what we want it to. Once we start adding in all this text and things like that, then it should start looking a little bit better. Okay, perfect. So that background image is basically just styling everything behind it. So as we add elements inside of this div with a background image, they're going to sit on top of that image, right? Which is what we want for this scenario right here. Okay, so let's come back up here. We'll add in an H3 and say reinvent your career in just 14 weeks. Your career, just 14 weeks. Okay. That doesn't sound like an ad for Coding Dojo or anything. Okay. All right. Cool. So this guy right now, let's give it a color of white. Okay, and then let's actually up the font size here to 20 pixels. Nope. 25 pixels. We're going 30. Okay, cool. So we're going to add those in. Before I move it over, I am going to see, let's see if we can add in like a 5 pixel padding. See, because it looks like it's centered. So maybe instead of padding, let's do a text align center. There we go. That looks better. And then we will do a padding top of 10 pixels. Nope. 5 pixels. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to copy this again and paste it into my left bottom section. And then I have left bottom H3. Yeah. And I'm going to copy and paste this over. Okay. Yeah.
I could just do the Lego method. This one's faster.
We are doing the Lego method.
The Lego method is you put all of them on there and then you move them around first. And this way we build each block one by one.
The Lego method is just kind of showing you how each layer that you put inside of a div starts stacking on top of them.
Okay.
So it's not so much that you put everything on there and shove it in. It's that if we were to look at the way that this HTML is set up from like a side view, if you will, right? You would have something that looked like this, where you would have, basically you'd say like, okay, here's my wrapper. Okay, so this is my wrapper guy. Then I have the internet is sitting on top of this div that wraps all of that, and then I have a basically like an image and then another tag there. So then I have this second tag that is the World Wide Web that also has an H1 tag on that, and so on and so forth. And I have this next one that's holding this whole thing, and then I have a left side and a right side, and so it kind of builds itself up like you do with Lego blocks. So the way that if you were to like 3D this and like move it around and look at it, the way that the HTML builds itself up kind of looks like the way that you can assemble Legos on top.
So don't make the Legos first. Do it individually.
I mean, we kind of have made the Legos first, right? So if we look at the way that we set this up, right? We have our left and our right. Oh, you're right. I forgot to do that. But our left is set up exactly how we want, and so our right, we can say, let's give it an inline block real quick, and a width of, I think, 900 pixels, and a background of red, and a height of 500 pixels. Okay, so it made me to go just a little bit below 900. There you go. All right, so now we can see that these two items are sitting right next to each other. Okay, and then we can just throw on a vertical line top so that now the top of this and the top of this are now next to each other. It doesn't quite look like that because this div left I have I kind of have some paddings and some other things that are pushing it down a little bit. But if we hover over left, right, you can see that it starts right below the World Wide Web. Same thing with right. Yeah. Go ahead.
I kind of have the same problem in the way that I started my web pages, where I was looking to see how many total divs I would need, because all the videos kind of show this, the pictures being kind of built out first, with all the containers built out first, and then starting to fill them in. And that's kind of how I thought we were building. But I agree with Jeremiah. It looks like you looked at the web page and then you decided, okay, the top section is going to be this, and then you started to build it down based on the containers you kind of see.
Yeah, I mean, so I have a right. I'm going because web pages build themselves top to bottom, left to right, right, and so that's kind of the manner in which I'm following that build. Okay, so if let's swing. Well, we can just look at this, right? So if I look at it, I started with my overall wrapper, right, which is the entire page. Then building top to bottom, right, I know I have this section, then this section, then this big section, right? So those are basically my three containers that I need to build. Now, whether or not I add all three of them on one at a time or all at the beginning doesn't necessarily matter, right? Here, I'm just looking at it, and that's what we talked about earlier, right? When at the beginning I said, all right, let's do this looks like a div, and this looks like a div, and then this looks like something else. So I started building that div. Once I was finished, then I added that one, built that one. Now we're here, we're building this one. Now, remember, top to bottom, left to right. So now that I've added those in, now I'm adding this left section right here. Now I forgot to basically make the adjustment so that they're sitting next to each other beforehand, but we could very easily just use some background colors to make sure that they're sitting next to each other, right? Now we're going to build this part out, and then in a second we'll add this section in here. Yeah. Like I said, use whatever way is going to make it easier for you. This way just kind of makes sense to me. Doesn't mean that it's the right or the only way to build it. Okay. Cool. So let's refresh this real quick. Okay. So let's add in our image and then our button, and then we'll be done with the left side. So I'm going to come over here. We have an image, and this is Ninja, I believe. So I'm going to say images / ninja.png. Ninja. And then I'm going to add a button, which is, what does it say? Learn more. And that looks like it just has something like that in there. Okay. So we'll go ahead and refresh that. Okay, so that's not quite what I want it to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and say left bottom image. And then I'll just tell it its max width can't be any bigger than its parent, right? So say max width is 100%. And now that's still pretty big. Okay, so we're actually going to, let's maybe drop that down to like 75%. That's all right. We might want to make it just a little bit smaller, but we can try. Let's see. Yeah, that's all right. Let's do this real quick. Left bottom. Okay, cool. We already have text align center on there. That's good. Yeah, so let's go ahead. I'm actually just going to leave it at, leave it 70%. I like 70. Cool. Now, I do have, let's see, so I used left top buttons. I'm actually, I'm going to change this because I'm going to use pretty much the same. It looks like, let's see. No, okay, that's different enough. I'm gonna make its own one. All right, so we'll say left bottom button, and we'll say width of maybe 80% of its parent. Nice. Okay. And then I like the other one over here. We had padding of 10 pixels and 0. Okay. Well, oh, that's because I, yeah, changed the background color. And I'm just going to keep it. I think it's a little bit lighter blue, but I'm just going to copy and paste this one. Cool. And then let's go ahead. I think left we have a padding top. So I'm just going to say padding 5 pixels 0. So that adds that padding to the bottom as well. There we go. Okay. Actually, maybe we need just a little bit more. So, say padding top is 5 pixels, padding bottom is 15 pixels. All right. Let's just do a quick inspect, see if there's anything on this left side that we want to improve. Okay, that looks good. Left top. H4. The H4 does have like a really big margin on it. Let's try dropping that margin to like 10 pixels. Okay, I like that a little bit more. So let's go find left top H4. Same margin is 10 pixels 0. Just so there isn't such a big gap there. All right, cool. Left side is finished. Okay, so now we're gonna jump into this whole right side. Okay, now this one, this section like right here, I think is the most difficult section on this page, right? Because we kind of have some weird stuff going on. So we have this whole section over here, which has a bunch of stuff on top of each other. Go ahead, Alex.
Is that 2 divs that you can do it in?
Yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna do.
Can you use HR to make that line?
Yeah, we can use HR to make that bottom line. Or in this one, it's close enough. We could probably use like a margin, a border top on this client and servers. Yeah, it's kind of ugly, but let's go ahead and start playing around with stuff and figure out. We'll try and figure it out. Okay. All right, before we move on, any questions about our approach to the left side? Okay. All right, so here we go. So we have the right. So we'll call this right top, and we'll call this home. All right, let's see if we can get that home display inline block. Oops. Block, and it's going to be pretty small, so let's give it a width of 50 pixels real quick. 10. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and add our image in there real quick, which is home.png. So we'll say image home. Images slash home.png, and then h4 home. Is that what it says?
Can you scroll up a little?
DNS. Okay. All right, that just looks lovely. Okay, so let's start figuring out how we can adjust this. All right, so let's start with this, and let's give it a width of 25 pixels. Yeah, it's pretty small. Okay, we'll give it a width of 25 pixels and maybe a margin top of 10 pixels.
Yeah, margin level also.
Actually, let's do it here, and on this home, give it a padding top of 10 pixels. Okay. All right. And then display inline block. Okay, so we'll probably need the home to just be a little bit wider here. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's give it a width of 90 pixels. Oops. All right. Whoops. Actually, we can probably, we can just take the width off and it'll add itself in. Okay, so let's see. So to the right, we added a, not to right, but to right top, home. To home, we added a padding top of 10 pixels. Okay, so home, padding top of 10 pixels. And then to home image, we added a width of, what was it, 25 pixels? Cool. Yeah, we'll bump it up to 30, and then that's an H4. Okay, 30, and then we'll say home H4 display inline block. Color, I think is blue, right? So I'm just taking off the width so it'll automatically fill itself in there. Okay. So now we have these two sibling elements. Let's see if we can't, on home, we don't have a height on that. On this H4, if we were to remove all margin, and then, we'll just do a vertical line top and a padding top of 5 pixels. Eight pixels. Okay. So this is going to be for the H4. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take this purple background off too, just so we can see a little bit better. Okay. That looks more or less like we wanted to. We probably could increase the font size of that. All right. Let's go font size of 25 pixels. And that looks pretty good. Okay. So H4, I think it's just these two that we need to change. All right, cool. Any questions about that one? All right. Yeah, go ahead.
So what's your method with using ID versus class? I noticed it seems like you're doing it for the larger portions of your layout in your HTML. So like the wrapper,
Mm-hmm.
each section is clearly different.
Yeah, it's mostly like, so like you said, the main sections I'll usually give an ID because I know I'm going to need to target that section specifically. Other things, I'll also use IDs when I need to override something else, right? So if it inherits some sort of styling that from another class or something like that, and I need to override that styling, then I'll add an ID to target that specific one. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these where it's just like one element and then just like a couple little elements inside of it. To me, it's just easier to do to target it through this because it still gives it a score, right? So in this instance, the score of this, the CSS score, excuse me, is 101, right? Because we're using ID plus the element tag. So it should give it everything that it needs. Okay.
So it's for targeting, and so I mean, you just know that it's going to be something that you use again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very specific, so I'm like, yeah, there's not really any need to. Okay, and so let's go ahead and we'll say phone over here. And just give it a min width really quick. Oops. Of like 100 pixels. Okay. Now this one is going to be a little bit interesting because we have this image and then these three elements together. So I think what I'll do is we'll just add this image in there and then we'll create another div inside of it to house all of that stuff. Okay, so we'll have that image tag, which is images/phone.png. And then we'll have another div tag, and we'll get to that in just a second. All right, that's fine. Let's figure out how small to make this. Looks pretty good. Okay. And you know what I'm going to do is I have on ID home this padding top of 10 pixels. Let's go ahead and, well, actually I'm not going to worry about that now. Okay, so phone image, we're going to give it a width of 50 pixels. Okay. Dun. All right, so now let's get that other information in there. So I'm going to, inside of this div, I'm going to have a paragraph tag that says something about the times, Monday through Friday. Those are like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, I think is what it says, something like that. And then we'll add in an H1 here that looks pretty big. 855-967-3787. 855-967. What was that?
How come you can put it in a span and save it in the same paragraph?
This right here?
Yeah.
Just because it's going to be a whole nother line. So, yeah. And I can, what I can do here too is I can just add class blue to that, and that'll automatically change this text color. And then we'll add one more p tag here that says international. I'm just going to make up a number. This one. Okay.
USA.
Meh. Don't care. Okay. All right. Cool. So that does not look great yet, but that makes sense because we need to target our phone, the div inside of that, and make it an inline block. Okay, cool. So now they're sitting next to each other. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say anything that is inside that div, give it a margin of 0, just so that they can sit right on top of each other.
The star mean inside of that.
What was that?
You use the star in the CSS.
Saying anything that's a child of that div.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm targeting any children elements that are children of div that's a child of phone. Cool. So I'm now going to have that core stuff in there. I could maybe, if I wanted to, like, bump it up to like 65. Okay, so we'll do that. And then here, I'm just going to go ahead and margin left. Oops.
So there's no easy way of like align text to the right.
Well, I guess the other thing we could do here, which might actually be better, is, let's see. Let's try doing this. So this is going to be, we'll give phone a, let's say, let's remove that. Let's give it a width of like 800 pixels. And then we can say text align right. So that might be better. Just make this whole div that width, and then just use text align to push it over. And then on phone, no, stop. There we go, phone. Okay. Let's copy that over in our phone. All right, and I'm just gonna delete that. Okay, there we go. Nice. So let's review this real quick. So we have right top, which is a block element, so it's going to take up the full width. Inside of that, we have this home that we made. Looks like we actually didn't specify a width, but we just made an inline block. And then over here, we have a second image, or excuse me, a second div, which is phone, which we made basically the remaining width of that element, and then we did text align right on phone to throw everything to the right side. Okay, I think we were going to make that a little bit bigger. What did we decide? 65. Okay, and if we want it to be like really specific, right, I can take this up and keep pushing it to like right there. So if I want to say like 805, then it'll be like really flush right to the edge, but this one actually looks like it's not super close, so I'm just going to leave it at 800 and set my image to 65, and we'll move on to the next section. Cool. So now that was right top. Cool. There's our line. Okay, so we're at about an hour. We haven't stepped into this section yet. Keep going, or do you want to get back and start working now that you've seen this much? Okay. For those that want to go and keep working, you're welcome to leave. It won't hurt my feelings. Please feel free. We'll keep going and finish this out. Okay. All right. All right, so we're now going to do, So there's a few different things we could do. We could have we could create 3 separate divs here. And I think that's what I'll probably do, is just create 3 more divs that are going to stack one on top of each other for each section. You could do it, we could do it without that, but just to kind of make it nice and easy, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to call, we'll call this one middle 1, because it's going to be the first middle one. Super creative, I know. Okay, and this is clients and servers, and we'll say class equals blue. Let's just see if that, alright, that looks pretty good. So next we have computers are connected to the web. Yeah, okay. Computers that are connected to the web are called clients and servers. And we'll come back in and add all the spans and stuff, but for now, we'll just leave it like that. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to create a little bit of a ULLI situation here. This is when I do wish we could copy that, but we'll say clients are, let's see if we can do this. All right. Technology. All right. Web users, internet connected devices. Example. All right, that was really exciting. Okay. Whoa. Cool. That looks pretty good. And then I am going to cheat. Okay, we'll just have 2 of those.
How did you copy the previous line?
On this, it's Shift Alt down, and it'll copy that line down. Okay. So it looks like we do want to have a little bit of space in between each of these. So, oops. I'm going to go ahead and, since, let's see, are we going to, whoops. Looks like we don't see any more LIs throughout this. So I'm just going to go ahead and add, say, any LI, give it a margin of 10 pixels. We'll see how that looks. Cool. And that just kind of separates them out a little bit. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is drop that image into here. Okay, so after the UL, we'll do an image, and this is images/client server.jpg. Client server. Okay. Let's see what adjustments we need to make to that. So that's a little bit big. A little bit bigger than we want. Okay. Where is it? 500 pixels. Cool. And so what I'm actually going to do, just to, yeah, that's good. Oops. This is in middle 1 image. Okay. What did we say? Width was 500 pixels. let's just try, because it's not centered right now. Let's see how bad we screw everything up. If we say text align center, yeah, that doesn't look good. Actually looks really bad. A few different things we could do here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into a div. And then there we go. So I just added a div so it would take up the full space, put it inside of it, and then use the text align center to adjust it right into the middle.
Can you make the image as class and adjust the color?
We could adjust it, but the thing is the image only takes up as much space as it needs to, right? And so we would basically be putting a margin left to slide it to the right. One thing that we could try, well, let's comment this out. I've actually never done this before, so we'll find out. So let's add this here. Okay, we'll do a couple things. We'll give it this width of 500 pixels. And let's try giving it a block display. I don't know if that does anything. Okay. Margin 0 auto. Cool. So that's actually probably a better solution. Okay. So let's get rid of that. All right, we're reducing the amount of code we need to write. So we're going to say, we'll go back to middle one, image, width, 500 pixels, display, block, margin 0. Nice. Cool. All right, so down to the last couple sections. So what actually happens? So this one, we have another div.
Fix the first part.
Yeah, well, basically that's what we're gonna do. Actually happens. Give this a class equals blue, and it looks like we just have a ordered list after that. So we'll just say ordered list. Okay. Okay. Server application, browser, stuff. Okay. So once again, very nicely put. Yay! And we can style and format that to look really nice, but we're about to finish up here. Okay. So here, this one is middle bottom. Now we're gonna add in an image, which is images slash HTML.png, I guess. And then we'll add in another div here, which is gonna hold all this stuff. Okay, so that's obviously ginormous. See, how big is it? Pretty small. Okay. Alright, so there we go. So we'll say Middle bottom image is going to be 150 pixels wide. And then 150 pixels. This guy, we're going to give it a padding of maybe 10 pixels. And a border of 5 pixels solid blue. Okay. Cool. So the last thing we need to do here is middle bottom div display inline block. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on here. Okay, that looks good. So those are both lines, and then cool. Then basically we just have another p tag there with a bunch of nonsense.
Did you overwrite the margin?
Yeah. Yep, I did. Okay. And yay!
Question.
Yeah.
During the exam, with all that content, do we need to actually copy the all the words?
We do want you to copy over as much as you can. Yeah. Which I don't think there's too much text in most of them. So yeah. But yeah, I don't want this video to go too much longer so that it's still useful, because if it's a 12-hour video, it's pretty boring. Cool. So I'm gonna just do a quick style on here. Margin left equals 10 pixels. Just so that we can see this kind of pushed away just slightly. Maybe we'll do 25. There you go. Cool. And there you have it. There is our page. Okay. Questions? Oh, thank you. Questions about the whole process?
For some of us that haven't finished this project yet, it's going to be very difficult to
That's okay. Try doing as much as you can on your own, and if you get stuck, you can definitely take a look. Yeah, that's the whole point of it, right? To have resources to help you figure those types of things out. Okay, cool. I will post this video so that it's available to everybody. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.